Welcome to Stories with me, Shonna. Today is September 30th, and in Canada, we've dedicated this day to something called Truth and Reconciliation Day. It's a time to remember and learn about the hurt that was done to Indigenous children and their families here in Canada. A lot of Indigenous children were taken from their homes and they were forced to go to schools where they couldn't speak their language. They weren't allowed to practice their culture, and it caused so much pain that still really affects people today. And for Indigenous people, this day is about telling the truth about what happened and remembering those people that were harmed and working towards healing. It also means protecting and celebrating Indigenous languages and stories and traditions. And we can help. Everybody can help by just listening and learning and saying sorry and treating Indigenous people and their history with respect. It's important for us to listen to the truth of what Indigenous children and their families have experienced. And wearing orange is just one small way to remember the children and to make a promise to do better. So today I'm wearing an orange shirt with a bear on it. And it says on my shirt, you can't see it, but it says every child matters. And every child does matter. And I think reading The Barren Grounds, written by a wonderful Indigenous author named David A. Robertson, a story that actually talks about Morgan's experience with being taken from her home without her mom wanting her to, not consenting to being taken from her home, and the story of Eli being away from his family and his traditions as an Indigenous boy. It kind of speaks to what has happened with the residential school situation in Canada, and it makes sense to be reading this book. And I'm hoping to finish this book on Truth and Reconciliation Day today. It's a way of telling the truth of at least these two characters' experiences. And I invite you to learn more about this. For today, for now, if you have an orange shirt, put it on. And I invite you to learn more about Truth and Reconciliation Day in residential schools and the history in Canada of our Indigenous people. I have a cup of tea. It's ginger and lemon tea. What do you have to help you settle in and get ready to really hear the words and to listen to the words and let them enter into your mind so you can picture the wonderful imagination of David A. Robertson and the word pictures that he's so talented at creating? Maybe you want to listen to this with someone that you care about, or maybe this is just quiet time on your own. But go ahead and do whatever you need to do to make yourself be able to respect this story and give it the attention it deserves. Listen, if you have to pause it, that's fine. You can come back to this again and again. But while you're here, really try to concentrate on what this author is trying to tell us. Are you ready? I'm going to do my best to read chapter 20 and 21 tonight. All right, settle in. Here we go. Chapter 20, The Barren Grounds by David A. Robertson. Here we go. It was like another world on the other side of the mountain. There were more trees as though they'd come to bask in the air, and they were fully alive. The snow was damp and shallow, and halfway down the mountain they came across a stream that had formed as it melted. They would find, as they went farther, that the stream fed into the river they'd spotted from atop of the mountain. They began shedding layers of clothing, and eventually stuffed all the winter clothing into one of their packs and left it hanging in a tree, to be retrieved on their way back to Missoua. The journey itself was faster, not only because they were heading down a mountain, not up it, and not because the weather was forgiving, but because they were excited. They were excited for what was happening around them and what lay ahead. By mid-morning, they'd come to the foot of the mountain, and they stopped there to eat. They made it a quick meal so they could get back on foot and to the cabin as soon as possible, and nobody seemed to care that this meal was the last meal that their rations would provide for them. "This is how it used to be," Ochik said after they started walking again. Patches of grass were sticking out through the snow. "The closer we are to the green time, the more I can remember." He bent down and picked a blade of grass from the ground. "When we were out on the land, we had only the next meal. If we didn't catch anything, we didn't eat. It's the way it was, Kayas." Kayas means long ago. Please forgive my pronunciation. I'm certain that I'm not doing it justice, but I'm trying my best. Kayas, I think in Cree, means a long time ago. I lost my way here. Here we go. Oh. What he's trying to say in his Ochik way is not to worry, Arik said, if you were worried at all. It all feels like home. I've been on land just like this, Eli said. You were happy on the land when the land was only snowflakes and ice, Ochik said. If I had a choice, though, it wouldn't be in the middle of a blizzard. Oh, good, Morgan said. At least I know you're not bonkers, even though it looked like you were trying to make friends with that wolf. Do you remember from the last chapter? The wolf attacked them and then got injured, almost died from Ochik in a battle that it had. And then Eli and Ochik were trying to heal it. And the wolf had apologized, but is still a very dangerous predator. And I'm not sure what's going to happen with that wolf. What do you think? We'll find out. Everybody deserves a second chance, Ochik answered before Eli could. As they got farther down the mountain, they could see an actual path in front of them that wound through the woods, and the thin line of water they'd seen on the mountain had now formed into a brook. Seeing for the first time an opportunity to drink something other than melted snow, they rushed over to the fresh water. Morgan and Eli drank so much they felt like bursting. It was cold and refreshing and nothing like they had tasted before. We'll find something for dinner, Ochik said. The water means that there'll be four-legged ones. I think maybe what Ochik's trying to say is that the water will bring animals because they need to drink. I won't have to steal from your traps anymore, Arik said. And I won't have to almost eat you. I guess we're all happy then, aren't we? Arik shoved Ochik playfully. However, I have a feeling you just might miss me, oh grumpy one. Ochik grinned. You might just be right, oh annoying one. At midday they came to the place they'd seen from the mountain, where the snow ended almost in a straight line, and gave way to the green time. They stood there with their toes on the line and pointing towards the thick, long grass, the brook and the flowers by its banks, and the trees with their fullness. It was all too much for Ochik. He placed his paws on the other side of the line before anything else, and then his forehead, and he started to sob. Why do you think he started to cry so hard? I think so too. There were probably so many times when he thought hope was lost, and now here he is, and maybe there's a second chance here. The other three knelt beside him and placed their hands on him for comfort. The land had started to come alive as they'd walked down the side of the mountain, But where they were now, the warmth really began. Morgan stroked Ochik's back, his body now half in the green time and half on the other side, and she could feel the difference in temperature on the back of her hand. On one side of the line, it was like a cool day in spring. On the other side, a summer day in June. The other two must have noticed this, because soon they weren't comforting Ochik, but testing the sensation of moving their hands from one side of the line to the other. And then all at once they started to laugh, and even Ochik's sobs turned into deep laughter. The animal being straightened himself, but was unwilling to fully cross over the line, as though it was a sacred place. Wonder and awe stuck in the air and fell over them, just the weight of it, until a snowball struck the back of Ochik's head. Who do you think threw that snowball? Let's see. He whipped around, more surprised than angry. What the? And as soon as Ochik had spoken, and before he could react, another snowball connected with his face. Bits of snow clung to his fur, and now he did look angry. But this lasted only until he saw Eli's enormous smile, which was infectious, meaning he caught Eli's playful mood. He'd backed away from the group into the cold side without any of them noticing. Ochik licked away the snow. Just what do you think you're doing? It's a snowball, Eli said. Try it. But we have important work left to... Another snowball hit Ochik on the shoulder, and Morgan had a mischievous look on her face and snow on her hands. Eli and Morgan reloaded with a snowball, swiping their hands across the ground and fashioning the collected snow into perfectly round balls. It looks like we have a mutiny. Arik stood beside Ochik. She'd watched how the foster siblings had made their weapons, and now she'd made one of her own. She held it at the ready. It appears that we do. Ochik made one too. And there were the four of them, the animal beings side by side facing the humans, and each had a snowball in hand, cocked and ready to throw. Each side waited for the other to make the first move. Have you ever had a snowball fight before? It's so fun, and I'm glad that they had a chance to be a bit playful, because this has all been so intense and serious. All right. What followed was the most epic snowball fight that has ever been fought, either on Earth or Eski, with both teams standing strong, bravely getting hit, throwing as many as possible at the same time, and laughing the whole way through. And, at least for the time being, there was not a care in the world. The wolf was at the top of the mountain, recovering from his wounds, and the man was still too far away to hear their battle. And when it was over, all four of them ended up on the ground, laughing hysterically, with the area between them completely cleared of snow, as they'd used it all for the snowballs. They were soaking wet, and their stomachs hurt from laughing, and each one of them was utterly distracted from the last and most crucial part of their journey. Eventually, without a word exchanged between the four, just knowing looks, they remembered what needed to be done and felt ready for it. It was like their fun had given them the energy of a full night's rest. They got up, stood side by side with their toes on the line, crossed over it, and continued towards the cabin. They didn't head there directly. Ochik made a point of stopping several times and didn't seem to care about prolonging the last leg of their journey. He stopped at the banks of the river to pull sweetgrass, because all they had back at Missawa was one braid of it in the council hut. He stopped to eat berries at a tree and to load some in his backpack to bring home to the elders, and he stopped to collect some cedar leaves and bark which he stored with the sweet grass. He's always thinking of his community and the others. Um, and it must have been an incredible feeling for him to be able to see these medicines and plants and berries that he hadn't been able to see in the winter for such a long time. I've not seen any of these fresh since before the white time, he explained. They weren't more than 100 yards from the lake that surrounded the island the man's house was on when Ochik stopped again. This time it wasn't to marvel at the most mundane thing like a dandelion or something of the sort. Rather, he had a confused look on his face, which soon gave way to concern as he carefully observed the world around him as far as he could see. "What is it?" Eli asked. "There's no game," Ochik said. "Not a four-legged creature on the land, not a bird in the sky, not one fish in the water, nothing." He turned towards them. "Have any of you seen anything?" None of them had. "Maybe we just missed them all," Morgan said. "You only just started really looking after all," Arik pointed out. "Well, look now," Ochik demanded. And they scanned the area carefully. The water and the sky and the land, and they could see a long way in every direction. And Ochik was right. There was no game to be seen and so no one game to be caught. "This doesn't make sense," Morgan said. "Where could they have gone? Where else would they go?" She ran over to the river and peered into the water, hoping to see something, anything. But the river was empty, just like the land, just like the sky, and she sat on the riverbank, and the others sat beside her. "What do you think is going on here? Where do you think all the animals have gone? The birds, the fish, there's nothing. There's nothing there. There's lots of plants and things, but no animals. How come? And are you curious like I am about who is this man and what's going to happen when they get to his cabin? I'm a little bit nervous about this." Arik put her paw on Ochik's shoulder. "No one in their right mind would leave a place like this. Heck, I'm not sure I'm going back with you three." She chuckled. But when nobody laughed, she must have realized it wasn't time for jokes. She turned serious. "There has to be another reason why they've all gone, is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't mean that when we bring the green time back to Miswa, there won't be yummy things to eat." Oh my goodness, that's my cat Jack. I think he's getting interested in the story again. Should I invite him to read with us? Let's see. Hi, Jack. Do you want to come on up? Come on up. Come on up. Oh. And he ran away. He's just teasing. Oh, he's back. Hi, Jack. There he is. I think he's curious about what happened to all the animals too. All right. "Do you think that they're all playing an elaborate game of hide and seek?" Arik asked. "That's stupid," Morgan said. "They're dead," Eli said. Ochik took a long breath in and let it out. "What do you think? Do you think they're playing hide and seek? Do you think they're dead? What happened?" Ochik took a long breath in and let it out. "The boy's right. They're not hiding, and they haven't run away. They've been killed." "What?" Morgan said. "By the man?" "Humans." Ochik watched the swift water pass them by for a moment that seemed to stretch on. The land provides everything that anybody would need. If you take only what you need, the land renews itself so it can give you more. Medicines, water, plants, meat. And in exchange, because we don't really have anything the land wants, we honor it for what it gives us. Ochik turns towards Arik and the children. When you take more than the land can provide, it stops giving. It can't give. That's what's happened here. That's what happens with humans. You mean us? Eli asked. And Ochik nodded regretfully. So what is he saying there exactly? That maybe that man took more than he should have. He was greedy. He didn't take what he needed. He took everything. And now there's nothing left for the land to give back. He didn't honor the land. He just took more and more and more. Oh, that's crap, Morgan said. We've been here with you for so long now, and all we've done is help. She stood up to face Ochik eye to eye. We haven't taken anything more than what was given. Not every human is the same. Maybe you just haven't had a chance to show me otherwise, Ochik said. What have we shown you already? Eli asked. The man came here and was accepted, Ochik said. He showed us what you have shown me, and then he showed us his true nature. We wouldn't take more than we need, Morgan shouted, and she heard her mother whisper to her in that moment. Oh, kiss, kiss. Oh, this is me trying to pronounce that word. That means remember who you are in Cree. Kiss, kiss, tot, tasso. And for the first time, she felt she knew something about herself that she had long forgotten. She belonged in a place like this. She belonged on this land. She'd never felt more at home than during the days she'd spent on a ski. Don't make us go, Eli pleaded. That's what you're saying, right? Jack, if you want to read, come on up. He's just meowing at my feet. I'm sorry. Ochik looked at them intensely. First Morgan and then Eli. Maybe you aren't the same as the man. The others that came before the man, they were indigenous, like you both, and they never wavered. We won't either, Morgan said. Ochik said, since embarking on this journey, you've said more than once that you and Eli could go home, that you should go home. I know, but, well, I'll give you the choice right now. Go home, where it's safe, and where this place will live on in the stories that you tell one another. You will always be welcome in Missawa. Oof, do you think they're going to go home? Or do you think they're going to stay in hell? What do you think? Well, this isn't like Hawaii, someplace you just go because the weather's bad in Winnipeg, Eli said. Winnipeg is a place in Canada that has very cold winters. Missawa feels more like home than either of those places. What are those places, Hawaii and Winnipeg? I thought you both came from Earth, Arik said. It's like a ski is Earth and Missawa is Winnipeg, Morgan said. Something like that. And this is Hawaii? Arik asked. Like the South Country? Morgan tried. Is there a South Country? There's got to be, right? Exquisite, Ochik said. Right, Morgan said. You're right. She had said that they could go home more than once. They could have turned around at any point and gone back to Earth. Maybe we should go, she thought. How much harder could it be to defeat a human after they defeated a wolf? Ochik and Arik could do it without them, couldn't they? Shouldn't they? And what if something happened to Eli? What would she ever say to James and Katie? Eli was her responsibility, and Ochik had said it himself. They would always be welcome here. They could come, minus the danger. Morgan, Eli said, why are you even thinking about this? Because I'm your big sister, and I have to think about keeping you safe. That's my job, she said. You're my big sister, he asked. Well, that just sort of came out, she said, but yeah. She looked him over. and thought about all the time they'd spent together and everything that they'd gone through. She didn't want to be without him, here or on earth. Yeah, you're my brother. Then don't make me leave here, Eli said. Please. They can do it without us, Morgan reasoned, echoing the thoughts she'd just run through her mind. No, Arik said, we can't. How would you even know that? Morgan asked. You'll see, Arik told her, one day. Ochik extended his paw. Come with us then. We have a lot left to do. Eli's face was all Morgan needed to see. If he really was her little brother, then how could she ever live with herself if she made them leave now? Maybe Arik was right. Maybe they, Arik and Ochik, really couldn't do it without them. Could they have overcome the wolf on their own? And what if Ochik had killed Arik? She and Eli had stopped him. The white time would never have had the chance to end. If there was a chance, it still might not. Was there a choice at all? And Morgan took Ochik's paw. So it looks like they did decide to continue on in this journey, that they are going to go and help, and they're going to confront that man with the cabin who had taken all of the animals, and there was nothing left. I wonder what that person is like. It sounds like he changed, that he was nice in the beginning and he turned into somebody very greedy, wanting everything and more than he needed. I think, if I'm not wrong, chapter 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. We're not going to finish tonight. 26 and an epilogue. So there's a few more chapters left to be read. But I think I might get through one more chapter tonight because this is just too exciting and I'm really curious to know what this guy in the cabin is like. I hope you've enjoyed this chapter as much as I have, and you have a wonderful night. And until next time, take good care. Bye-bye.